What's up, party people? Welcome back to Planet Coaster. This is episode 2. Hope you liked the last one. I know it was a bit of a boring one. Lots of just, talking about drawing and excitement. But this is going to be a tad bit more eventful. As you can see, we're already starting on the terrain work to get things smoothed out and ready for, coaster placement, ride placement, and path placement, which we're actually going to get to in this video once the terrain work is done. But yeah, we're just going to smooth some things out, maybe work in some different elevation changes, work with some of the natural terrain we've been provided with by the game on startup. And then once that's done, we're just going to place some paths. I'm going to go ahead and cut myself short here kind of early though, and just let you enjoy some terrain work, and I'll be back a bit later in the future, so I will see you guys then. Alrighty, so we've pretty much finished the terrain editing down towards the dive coaster and the river rapids area. Now we're just filling it back in with that paint so that when I'm, building around and placing the ride and the pathing, I still have that guide to go by that we established in episode 1. So we're just going to get everything looking back to how it was, and then we'll move on to another area of the park and the terrain, which I think is actually going to be pretty interesting once we actually get to building the park and all of that. It's going to be that area up in the top right by the Woody and the flat rides. I'm actually really excited to work in this terrain right here that you're seeing. But yeah, so just want to talk a little bit about the way this series is going to work and the way I think that I kind of want to lay it out. So I believe it's going to be a weekly series, so you'll probably get an episode every Thursday or so, probably around 11 a.m. Eastern, just to keep the pacing nice and spread out. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. It's really enjoyable, so I don't want to burn myself out. Like I think I did a little bit with the Lone Wolf series, like I talked about in the last episode. It's just kind of hard to keep up with a series like that where you always have to be like performing at your best, and like it's just really frustrating to spend so much time on something that doesn't really, have a rewarding outcome personally. But for this one, we're just going to do weekly episodes every Thursday or so, barring one thing. So you'll have an episode like this and the last episode where it's just, the post-commentary over some time-lapse footage of me getting something done in the park, and then that'll be it. But every now and then I do want to have like a filler episode where we just kind of summarize what has happened over the past few episodes in just a short little snippet, so that, if somebody maybe doesn't want to sit through all of this building stuff, they can just go to those episodes and get little summaries of park building and just kind of skip around at their leisure and at their pleasure. I've seen a few other channels do this. I know one, the Planet Bro Coaster series by Mask Bandit and N7. It's one of my favorite series on YouTube in general for any type of content. I love that series. I'll put a link in the description for you to go check that out, because I think it's just really amazing and it's better than anything I could ever do on this game. And if you love Planet Coaster, you'll love that series. But yeah, so I'm going to do an episode like that every now and then, just kind of a supplementary recap of what has happened. And I think that'll be good, like I said, for people to just enjoy this and take it in at their own pace, especially with the weekly episodes. They'll have plenty of time to just digest things, and it won't be overwhelming like I know some other series can be. But yeah, we're done with the bulk of the terrain stuff right now. Now we're just kind of deciding what types of path I want to have where. I know that for this main street, I definitely want to have a thicker path because it's going to be, the largest volume of people in this park are going to be on that main street path. So I wanted definitely something a lot thicker. The main challenge for me was picking the pattern I wanted. I went back and forth between a lot of different ideas and thoughts, and obviously I've decided on this kind of purple pattern. It kind of reminds me a little bit, and I have a feeling it was inspired by this, the Mickey Mouse sidewalks at Disney. And I just thought that was kind of a good vibe, just having that fun pattern as the Main Street area, because it's going to be really colorful, really, kind of almost Seussian, or I don't know, just really like quirky type of area is what I have in mind for that. So I think it'll fit really well. And then these vinyl paths are for the firework viewing area that's going to be implemented probably a good bit later on into the build. This is probably going to be like one of the last things I do. But I thought the vinyl path was a really neat idea because you'll see like the reflections of the lights and the fireworks and stuff at night off of that vinyl path. And yeah, so for these off-branching areas, I wanted to have like not really like a grid pattern, because obviously this is not a grid, but definitely a pattern and a stylistic change dependent on how far away from the main area you are. So as you'll see here, this bottom little curve leading into the butterfly wings are going to have these paths that aren't as thick as the main street, but they're going to be thicker than all of the other paths in the park, other than, like I said, the main street and the vinyl viewing path. And they're also going to be this kind of dark cobblestone, like heavy stone path type of look, because my vision for later on is to have like a lot of the shops and restaurants around here. And what you'll see in a lot of like theme park food courts are these like big chunky rock type of paths like you see here. And they have like leaves and stuff in the middle of them, and you'll see like the occasional straw wrapper. And I just thought that would like really add to the realism vibe of this park. And so yeah, that's what I went with for that. And then I had this idea of changing up the pathing dependent on, like I said, how far away you are from the main street. So you'll always, as you're walking through the park, you'll always know which way is the way to the main street and which, like, how far away you are depending on the path. Like, if you're a multi-time visitor, you'll just kind of figure things out over time. And I think that's, again, adding to the realism vibe, and I think that's really neat. But yeah, so I'm just kind of playing around here with the different pathing and the different ways I can do things to kind of set a precedent for the rest of the park. And yeah, I'm just gonna let this play out for a bit. You'll notice that as you get farther away from the main street, the paths do get skinnier, and actually a little bit lighter in color, sort of. It's not really consistent with like the distance thing, but it does get lighter in color. As you can see here, I have this, the flagstone path is going to be the primary path for the park. But yeah, like I said, I'm just going to let this play out, let y'all enjoy it, and I'll be back later on. Alrighty, so now we're pretty much done with that entire right side of the pathing, and this is a spot that this is basically the beginnings of how I had the idea of this park, was to have a skywatch observation tower type of thing, right sort of in the center, where you can see all angles of the park, and especially during the fireworks show, you'll have, a really awesome view with that wooden roller coaster in the background, and that was kind of the baseline for this park. And I also kind of took inspiration from a little park called Cypress Gardens down in Florida. It's now Legoland, Florida, but before Legoland, it was Cypress Gardens. It was one of my first amusement parks I went to as a kid, and it was really like a floral park. Like, they had a lot of landscaping around there. It was really cool. Obviously, it's called Cypress Gardens, so go figure. But it was just like a small little park, and I just really like the story of it. You can go find different videos. I know Expedition Theme Park actually did a really nice video on it. But basically, it's just like a small little local park, and Disney kept trying to basically destroy it, financially and everything. They were competing with this little local park to get a foothold in Florida, and unfortunately, they eventually won. But yeah, Cypress Gardens was a neat little park, and they had in the very back of the park, there was this little tucked away area that was the Cypress Gardens. It was this really floral area with a lot of landscaping, and in that back bit, they had an observation thing. It wasn't really an observation tower like this in the game, but it was an arm that would lift up a spinning observation deck, and you could see the park, see the gardens, see the water, and it was just really pretty, and it's one of my fondest memories of that visit. And so I really want to do something with the landscaping and the floral scenery around this observation tower, which is also why I chose the pathing that I did there, where it's just the natural path that's just a bit worn out by the foot traffic, and I think that's gonna have a really nice look, especially when that firework area is finished. I think it's gonna really tie it all together and kind of solidify the idea that that is where the park began, both mentally and physically, as that's the first ride that has been placed canonically and chronologically. So yeah, I'm just kind of finishing up this bit of pathing. I had to edit some terrain there to make sure the path could go up, and yeah, that's just a little short blurb on that, and I'll leave you to it again. So after I repainted all of the terrain as its natural grass color, I noticed that actually undid the footpath wear on this little natural trail looking thing by the observation tower. So I remembered that you could do this trick where if you place a path on another path and then go back over it with the original path, it'll reset all of its physical properties and look as intended. So as you can see, it's going back to that worn footpath look, because I got really worried once I painted over it. I was like, oh crap, no, I ruined my path. But then I remembered the little trick I could do, so I just did that real quick, got it out of the way, had everything looking nice. And I'm also going to go back and do the same another time with the little like hilltops and hillsides where like I painted over the rocky bits a little bit, and I want to make sure they look rocky again, but I don't want to go in and manually paint it. So if you actually go back over them and just use the smooth tool, it'll reset same way it does with the paths. It'll reset those physical attributes, and it'll look like it would if you had just built up that terrain. So everything will be looking right. I know it's looking a little wonky right now, but hopefully you're able to start seeing the vision of the park, and it's coming together a little bit. But yeah, just recorrecting some of the painting, making sure everything's looking ship-shape. I left the Main Street paint in there because obviously I haven't really worked on that yet, but everything else is just rides, and all of the path painting has been removed. So everything you're seeing there is just the path. It's just how it's going to look. And if you pay attention closely, you can see, like I said, the color difference in the directions of travel in the park and how close you are to the main street. But yeah, that's gonna do it for episode 2. A bit longer than episode 1, but you know, got a little terrain stuff done, a little pathing done, and I'll see you next time, guys. See ya.